Hi everyone, welcome to It's Food. I'm your host. Alright, today we're making granola. You might know granola from the stuff that's really expensive in bags at the grocery store. They charge you out the ass for it, but the ingredients that go into it are really not that expensive. It's probably one of the greatest capitalist capers in the grocery store today. The Egyptians used to eat oatmeal. They called it maize. They ate it before they went into battle. Anyway, so we're gonna make, did I say oatmeal? Did I say I'm making oatmeal today or granola? I can't follow the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Oatmeal.
Did I say oatmeal? Did I say granola at all as the camera started?
You started with granola.
I started with granola. Okay. All right, so here we have in this blue bowl over here, traditional oats. These are old-fashioned oats. These are not the quick oats. These are not the quick mushy oats. These are real-ass, big, honkin' oats. This is going to be the base for the granola. Again, I feel like the Illuminati, they don't want you to know that this is actually what goes into granola. Because, again, as long as you're in the dark, as long as you're in the intellectual darkness on granola and you're not woke on it, then they can just keep charging you out the ass for it. So this is about 6 cups. This is about 6 cups of oats right here, old-fashioned oats. And the goal is, at the end of this, to have enough granola to fill up this big fat hefty bag. Now once this is done, you can munch on it, you can eat it for breakfast. It's crunchy, it's hearty, it's good, and we're gonna make it. It's pretty easy, it's pretty simple. Let's go! Alright, so as you know, granola, it doesn't just have this oat stuff in it. If it did, then it would be boring and uninteresting and not good and not flavored all that nice. So what are we gonna add to it to make it a little heartier, a little thicker, THICC thick, that kind of thickness? Well, what I like to put in my oatmeal is a good nut, a good couple of nuts. So what the nuts that I'm going to use, I'm going to throw a little peanuts in there, and I'm going to throw some almonds in there too. Now I'm not just going to throw them in there just by themselves because I'm lazy. I'm going to mix these things up. I'm going to cut them up. I'm going to throw them into the food processor. I'm going to zhuzh them up. They're going to get real zhuzhed, real good. Capturing all this magic.
Okay. Well, I just have a question.
Okay, what?
Should you be showing the brand?
Hey, peanuts, please don't sue me. Please. I promise this recipe will not kill you as long as you're not allergic to peanuts. So let's give these a mix. Let's give these a zhuzh. We're not trying to grind the peanuts up into a dust. Not a pulp. Decent six. We're just mixing them up, breaking them up a little bit. So you just kind of have some, you know, they're just broken up a little bit. You don't want to bite into a full peanut. You just want to have it mixed up a little bit, just a little broken up, just a little broken into pieces. We're going to take that, we're going to throw it on top. Actually, I might want to do a little bit more peanuts over here. What I'm trying to do here is just adequately cover the top of this so that I get a good mixture, because ultimately the oats are just a base. They're just a base. I'm not trying to go half and half here. I'm just trying to get enough just to cover the top. Just to cover the top. Just cover the top there. There you go. That should be enough. That should be more than enough. And we're going to do just about the same thing with the almonds. There we go. Let's get that mixed up. Let's get that all zhuzhed up. I'm smoking cigarettes in the shower. Almonds are a little bit harder. When they get red, I just light another fatal. All right, that should be good. Let's throw that on the top. Ugh. Actually, we could have broken that up a little bit more, I think. All right, that's good and chopped up and mixed up. All right, so we have our nuts. We have our oats. I'm going to throw a little sunflower seeds in there too. Of course, they're shelled. So there we go. We have our base. We have our oats. We have a nice hearty grain, a carb. We have lots of nuts, lots of proteins thrown in there on top. You know, that's kind of, again, our base. Now we need to throw some flavors into this thing. Some flavors need to get thrown in. Because right now this don't taste like nothing. It just tastes like a bunch of dry grains and nuts. So what are you going to throw in there? We're going to throw, I like to throw, and this is optional, I like to throw some coconut flakes in there. I like to throw a little coconut flake in there, in the top. Get it all mixed in there. It adds a nice crunchy, coconutty flavor. Some of you might not like coconut. If you don't do this part. Don't do it at all. I don't want to hear not one comment complaining,
Anthony, I don't like coconut.
Well, don't do this part. Just skip it. Don't even pay attention to this part. Move on to the next thing. Now, the next thing that I like to do, I like to throw a little cinnamon in there. I like to throw some cinnamon in there. And I'm just going to sprinkle it and cover the top. I'm just going to cover the top. All I'm doing is covering the top. Just making sure the top is adequately covered. I ain't measuring shit because this is not what this show is about. All that's happening is the top is getting covered. All right, you see that? You see adequate coverage of the top? Missed a spot there. Oop, oop. It's like makeup. It's like foundation. Just covering the blemishes. There we go. It's all covered. Extra flavorings are in here. Now you can get creative here. You don't have to do coconut. You don't have to do cinnamon. You could do some vanilla extract. You can do a brown sugar or something like that if you want to do something like that. There are lots of different things that you could throw in here, you know, to sort of get whatever kind of flavor mixture that you want. Now, the next step is that we need to add a little bit of sweetness to this. And how I like to do that is with some maple syrup. Now, not a lot, not a ton, okay? We're just trying to get it a little sweet. It's not candy. It's not Lucky Charms. It's not a sugar cereal. We're not trying to douse this. That song goes on forever. Jesus Christ. You know, that's when you know that your dishwasher is high-end, when it plays you a whole fucking song when it's finished. Anyway, we're just trying to get this a little sweet. Okay, it's always good not to go overboard right at the start because, hey, the thing is you can always make it a little sweeter later as you're eating it. Okay, I'm just trying to make it a little sweet. All right, next. I cannot just mix this up and then throw it into the oven. I can't do that. It's not going to cook down correctly. What I need to do is get the oats to get a little wet, get a little soaked up in something so that they're damp, so that they puff down, so that they puff up, puff in, puff out, puff left, and puff right, so that they puff up. And then when I'm cooking them down and drying them out, then they're going to kind of like go back down to like a smaller size. They're going to crunch up. They're going to dry up real nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some almond milk in here. Now, not so much almond milk where it's just soaking in it and it's drowning in it. It's not cereal, okay? Don't just like create a pool of milk in here. Just enough milk just to go down in there, go to the bottom, and then you're going to mix it up and just get it a little damp. Just get it a little damp, a little wet. Get it all mixed up real good with the syrup, with the almond milk. Get it all mixed up so that you see there's a good even coating of everything. I think I threw a little bit, not as much milk in here as I would like because I'm not seeing it sort of take, all the ingredients take as quickly as I would like them to. So I'm going to make it a little bit wetter because this is a lot of oats. There we go. You want to see an equal coating of the cinnamon, of the syrup, of everything as you're mixing it all up. The telltale sign of that is that you kind of see the oats as you're continually mixing them. They're starting to look a little wet. They're starting to glisten in the light. You're starting to see that cinnamon get mixed up and turn the oats a little brown, like a light brownish color. The doorbell rings. That's another sign that you're doing it right. Who the fuck is here? We're still mixing these up. Still getting mixed. They're a little wet. They feel a little damp, and that's good. You don't want to feel any big dry spots or anything like that. If so, and you're seeing some parts of the oats and they're not getting much love from the cinnamon, doesn't seem like they're getting much love from the oats, then you can throw a little more syrup in there. You can throw a little bit more cinnamon in there. You can throw a little bit more almond milk in there. If you're seeing that there are dry spots, if you're seeing that there are spots, again, the oats aren't covered by the cinnamon. I'm going to give this one little taste here because I just want to make sure that there's adequate coverage of the syrup. I just want to make sure it's a little sweet. That tastes fine to me. Tastes like there's a little bit of sweetness in there. That's how I like it. I don't like a lot, so I don't like to go overboard with it. We pretty much have this all mixed up here. So what do we do now that it's all mixed up? I'm going to throw this into a cookie pan. I have a couple right here. Don't mind that they're old. I'm going to start just throwing this in here. Don't be a lazy idiot. Don't just throw it in there like a pile. Okay, spread it out. Spread the love. Spread it out. Make sure that it's all spread out as thin as you can possibly get it so that when you throw it in the oven, you could dry it out real nice. I use traditional oats here. If you use the quick oats that get all mushy and stuff, you can actually make more granola bars out of this because the mixture will kind of stick together much easier and you can kind of mush it together, but I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm just like kind of making a general granola mixture, fill in all those gaps, make sure it's spread out nice. I'm going to throw a little bit more in here, throw a little bit more in here, evenly distribute it. This might take a little while to cook because this does seem like a lot, but we're not racing here. We're not in a hurry. Granola takes a while. All right, so what is left to do now is we need to take these oats, we need to throw them in the oven. They gotta go in the oven, we gotta cook them. Now, the art of cooking this into granola is not the same as cooking your favorite frozen dinner in the oven or roasting vegetables or whatever like that. You basically wanna dry this out. So you wanna cook it at a low heat for a pretty long time. I usually put these in for several, at least a few hours. I will put these in the oven at about 250, maybe even just a smidge less. I would not go anywhere near 300. You don't want to burn these things. Again, you just want to slowly cook them over a long period of time, dry them out, mix them around with a mixing spoon, periodically check on them, make sure that they're not burning. How the hell do I use my own oven? Bake. I'm gonna start it at about 265, and again, you can kind of monitor this over the period of the oats cooking, maybe check on them every 15 or 20 minutes or so, set a little timer so you don't forget. How's there a piece of plastic in there? Throwing them in the bottom there. It's baking, it's getting up to, this is getting up to 300 something. That's not what I want. It's not what I want at all. Okay, here we go. So again, I would start at about 230 or so. Again, you don't want to overcook these things. You don't want to try to cook them too fast. It's not a race. Don't speed into it. Okay, don't try to cook them really quickly. You just want to cook them slow, kind of dry them out, and get them to the point where they're crunchy. And then it's a big, chunky, hearty oat thing. So once the oats are all cooked down, they're crunchy, they're dried out, you can add other things on top of it too. You can add some dried fruit. I like to add raisins into mine. You can also really kind of add dried cranberries or any kind of dried fruit that you like. It doesn't necessarily need to be a raisin or whatever. Now this is important. If you do add dried fruit into your granola, do it after you have cooked it. Okay, don't throw the dried fruit in there with it and cook it, because then the dried fruit is just going to get dried out too, and then it's going to get hard and crunchy, and I've done that before and it's a really awful idea. Don't do it. Anything dried as far as fruit goes that you want to add into the granola, as there is in lots of granola brands, do it afterwards. Don't cook it with the freaking granola. You should also wait for it to cool down after it comes out of the oven to add that in there too. There should be an image popping up on the screen of what the granola looks like as it's finished right now, so you can see that. Blah, 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 blah. And that is basically how you can make the granola. So I think that's everything that I need to tell you about this. This has been food. I made some food, and you watched me make it, and now you can make that food too. Are you rolling yet already? Oh, okay, you are. Okay, fuck. I have to get the right mental headspace. I didn't even know you were rolling yet. Hey, what? You're just shooting me bending down?